So hi there, it's Hills Carmichael here from Resilience Central, and I am really lucky to have Katrina Mather here with me, who is an amazing award-winning businesswoman from Scotland. She has lots and lots of different accolades, including, finalist 2015-2016, the Association of Scottish Businesswomen. She's been commended by Glasgow Business Awards. That was in 2016, I think.
Yeah, I think
and then you were Scottish Women in Business Award winner 2015-2016.
Gosh, yes, thank you.
And because I saw you in your ball frock.
Did you?
Yes, I did. Yeah. I'm not stalking you or anything like that. And you've had reviews. You've been featured in national newspapers like The Scotsman, which is, Scotland's pretty much premier tabloid?
Yeah.
No, it's not tabloid.
Well,
is it tabloid? Is it?
No.
Oh my God.
I don't know what
it's a broadsheet, isn't it? It's a broadsheet, yeah. And also BBC Scotland were speaking to you as well.
Yeah, in May we were interviewed for BBC Scotland. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Katrina runs the Body Toolkit. That's the name of her business, and I have been a client of yours a couple of times, and I'm back, so it means that she's good.
Lucky me.
Or unlucky me.
No, lucky me.
And I thought it'd be really cool to ask you a few questions about how people can optimise their nutrition, because I work with people who have problems or challenges that they need to be overcome, whether it's with illness, whether it's with business problems, and they tend to be very overwhelmed, and sometimes they can become quite anxious. Mm-hmm. And really what occurs to me is that stress doesn't just exist in the head, it's in the body as well. And you've seen some really fantastic changes with people who have been under quite a lot of stress.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And I think it's a real sign of the times how stressed we all are. I run retreats monthly, and I do courses and talks out with that. And the minute you mention stress, everybody in the room is nodding. Our grannies are stressed, our dogs are stressed. And yes, we think it's a mental, emotional problem, but it has a serious physiological impact on the body in terms of dehydrating the body and causing inflammation, and behind all chronic disease lies inflammation.
So
it's serious.
So it's kind of like stress in the body equals inflammation.
Yeah,
without a shadow of a doubt.
Definitely.
So but your route into this is quite an interesting one as well, because you're personally driven, aren't you, really?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was my own sort of, selfish journey into looking for a solution to my own health conditions that got me into health and well-being. Otherwise I would be blissfully unaware of all this stuff. But yes, I had, as a teenager, had digestive problems, skin problems, depression, low energy, and then in my early 20s anxiety. Mm-hmm. And that really kind of forced me to look for other ways to deal with things. Mm-hmm. And led me down this route of what I do now. But what I was bowled over with is just how small dietary changes can make dramatic differences to how you feel. Mm-hmm. And that really got me hooked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm really interested in the small, easy changes, because when people want to make swinging changes, they want to rearrange their life. It's destined to go nowhere, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, I think people get a little bit disappointed when they come and talk to me, because I'm talking about really getting back to basics and tiny changes, and I think we overcomplicate health. I think we overcomplicate everything, actually. So often getting back to basics and the simplicity is the way to do it. Yeah.
So I guess one of the industries that I've come from, the emergency services, there's always a great talk about, if you are, because you're working shifts, if you are sleep deprived, you're kind of pretty much on the same performance level as a drunk driver.
Yeah, wow.
But what was even more interesting was that Katrina was telling us that you can have a similar effect, and that is just with lack of hydration, isn't it?
Yeah. There was a study which I go on and on about, but there was a study with 2 sets of drivers, and one set were driving in a controlled environment, drunk at the wheel, which is a big no-no. We know that's not allowed.
So it would have been in a screen and like in simulator, so don't get worried, don't write in, it's nothing like that.
Yes, so safe environment, but the other set of drivers were driving dehydrated at the wheel, and it was those guys that actually made more mistakes, which for me was really quite sobering, pardon the pun, but really got my attention. Imagine if you are working or you're looking after your children or whatever it might be, how many mistakes are you making? Are you losing concentration? It's a biggie. Never mind, that's just the brain. Water is so fundamental, and it is the big health tip that I have for people: drink more water, which again can be quite disappointing when people are wanting this,
we all know
really
that
complicated thing. Yeah, we know that.
Yeah,
but
tell us something new.
Exactly.
We want the latest new thing, the latest shiny thing. Let's drink more water.
I know, but when we're 70% water, it's kind of important. Yeah.
So I suppose if you could put that into a business context, it's the mistakes that get made on the if you're looking forward to doing the end of year audit or something like that, or the quarterly audit, that's a problem, or if you're sending out terms of business to somebody, or even if you're just
emails, making a mistake with an email, God forbid.
Yes. Yeah.
Concentration is so important, and usually when it comes to business working, a lot of us drink a lot of coffee through the day, or tea, which is caffeine in it, which is fine, but it's also very dehydrating. So just being wary to keep your hydration up if you want to be on the ball and sort of on your game.
That's really interesting, because there's a few people I've dealt with who have had quite high levels of anxiety.
Yeah.
And one of the first questions I always ask is, how much coffee have you had?
Really?
And although it's coffee, it's caffeine, here we go again, it's the caffeine parrot. It's really important because caffeine is a stimulant, because in coffee is caffeine, it's a stimulant, and if you are ramped up on it, then it will mimic the signs of anxiety. So if you've got somebody who's already anxious and they are they're Starbucks' best customer or something like that, then they're going to be wired the whole time. Absolutely. Which is going to have a ramification of how they're sleeping, how they're feeling, their self-esteem, their confidence, their performance. I guess if you're that anxious, you're going to think that everyone's against you. So consequently the world hates you. So just huge levels of unhappiness that are linked to that as well.
From that one change, if you can reduce that. And I'm not at all saying that coffee should be banned.
No.
But one good cup of coffee a day rather than mindlessly consuming. But absolutely, what a great tip, especially for anxiety. I mean, I get emails every week about anxiety. There's an anxiety epidemic right now, and yes, it's a lot to do with the world we're living in and the pace of life, but it's got a lot to do with diet. Absolutely.
So what are some of the I remember when I first was researching the body toolkit and thinking this is a great idea, because I've got an underlying health condition and I'm very keen to reduce my inflammation. So there was a really great story that really resonated with me, and that was of a young man who had very high levels of anxiety.
Yep.
And he came here with almost on the proviso that he was having masses of panic attacks as well, wasn't he? And he came here on the proviso that he might leave at any moment. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think was willing to lose the money if he had to do that. But thankfully he stuck with it and lasted the entire week, and yes, went on home and checked in about 8 months later to say that he had gone from, and I quote, several anxiety attacks a day from the age of 7 to 0 in pretty much a year. And simple changes again, back to basics. He cut the junk out of his diet, so limited the processed foods coming in. He opted for one vegetable-based juice a day. He went for a guided meditation app like Headspace or something like that.
That's very common, lots of people use that.
Yeah, and he added in magnesium. I know you like
magnesium. It's the magnesium parrot.
2 magnesium parrots, most definitely. But magnesium is so calming, and that was all he changed, and he got tremendous results, so much so that I think colleagues, friends, loved ones were aghast at the difference. But it's possible, and that's just one person, and we've seen that time and time again, that it's possible to change how people are feeling, even if it feels very intense and hard to change.
So, juicing. So this is a detox retreat.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean we're all sitting silently in contemplation, wired to a cloud or anything like that. The detox aspect is that we've replaced all meals and we just have juices, 3 juices and a soup.
Yeah, which sounds absolutely terrifying to anyone else, and very extreme. But yes, what we're doing is resting the digestion. So having 5 days of resting the digestion and getting meals in liquid form, essentially from 80% veg and 20% fruit, to alkalize the body and try and reduce the inflammation.
Okay, so alkalizing is a word that everyone hears, but they don't really understand. What does alkalizing mean?
Yeah, well, if I can invite you back to sort of high school biology, and you've got the pH scale, and number 7 in the middle there is neutral, and so below 7 is acidic and above 7 is alkaline, and the blood likes to be about 7.4, so slightly alkaline. But what we're up against is that modern life and modern diets are very acidic making. So sugar, too much sugar. Well, sugar full stop is public enemy number 1.
Yeah. Because it's a stimulant. And as a stimulant, it's kind of I like to use the analogy that if you're into ponies and you really didn't like your mate, or in fact if you're watching the royal wedding, there was one white horse, a grey probably, and we pulled up on that. There was really trying to fight the whole way round.
Right.
I just wonder if someone had chucked in a few handfuls of oats, because oats are kind of like to horses what sugar is to a human being, isn't it?
So sugar is not ideal, but we know that. So anyway, too much sugar, processed foods, refined carbohydrates, too much red meat, too much caffeine, alcohol, etc., and stress are very acidic making. And when the blood falls below 7.4 pH, it creates inflammation and acidity, which basically predisposes us to developing health complaints and pain. And so the point of the juicing is to get lots of vegetables in there that alkalize and redress that balance. It's all about balance.
Neutralises it.
Yeah, it's like a system reset. And by saving the body's digestive energy for a week or so, the body can use that energy to heal and repair and regenerate. It's a form of fasting. Fasting's been in the human psyche for forever. It's in every form of religion, but it's a very safe way to fast. You keep the blood sugar steady, feed your body with lots of nutrition, but saving the digestive energy.
So it's something like the 5-2 diet. Is that a form of fasting as well?
Definitely. The 5-2 diet, people are getting great results. So that's just 5 days a week eating normally and 2 days a week eating a reduced amount. And people report better sleep, weight loss, more energy. As hunter-gatherers, there would be long spells between meals, and we wouldn't have the fridge bursting full of food and the 3 big meals every day. There would be days where we'd be eating less, and just the 5-2 diet proves that. On 2 days a week, they're not even really telling you what to eat. It's not necessarily super healthy, it's just less. So yeah, certainly that's a form of fasting. Yeah.
So for anyone who's thinking, oh my God, it's too complicated to buy a juicer. How does it work? What do I do? Where do I get everything from? Because I think what could be some of the tiny little tweaks that someone could make, rather than
go all out
and spend a week in the Highlands.
Yes.
Beautiful though it was, and we've had some very naughty people here, so we might have been doing a little bit of laughter. I can neither confirm nor deny that. But
it was not a silent retreat, that's for sure.
No, and it's not it's not a secret. What's the name for it? Cult.
No.
Yes, no, it's not a cult either. So what could be some really, really tiny tweaks for someone who's maybe just wants to eat a bit healthier?
Yeah, well, the big tip, and as boring as it sounds, is drinking more water.
Mm-hmm.
It is so fundamental, and I'm talking about still pure water, and aiming for 2 litres a day. Trying to avoid drinking loads at meal times because that can dilute our digestive enzymes. So drinking throughout the day and then just sipping through meals. But that is the number one tip, really inspired by a book called Your Body's Many Cries for Water. And he links almost every health condition, chronic and simple,
To
to
dehydration.
dehydration. So it is the biggie, the absolute biggie. What else? Well, so tip number 2, I think rest is so underestimated. And one of the most powerful things of this week is, yes, the digestive rest, but actually we're in the Highlands. It's not always very sunny. Sometimes it rains a lot. Shock horror. And it's wonderful because actually when the weather's hellish, it forces people inside. They maybe put a fire on, they read a book, and they sit on their bum and do not much. And I think we are chronically deficient in rest. And actually the results I get are better when the weather's been a bit rubbish because people have rested more. When it's sunny, people are out doing stuff. And so, when we're back home, we are so busy and the pace of life is fast, but encouraging or creating space, blocking out some time in our diary to just do not very much is undervalued but so powerful. And then the third tip really is we're not eating enough vegetables. And sorry to be that boring person that says that, but even the 5 a day target is super modest, and they're talking about reducing it because we're not even making that target. But if anyone has a health condition, pain, inflammation going on in the body, we should really be aiming for 10 a day.
So my regime is going to be a number of juices on a regular basis. So I'm kind of almost getting like 10 or 15 a day. Which is much better. But I've just lost the question I was going to ask you there. Never mind.
That's all
right. Organic.
Yeah.
How about organic?
Organic's an important one to talk about, and I know the minute you say organic, people say the pound signs come into your eyes. But I've got a bit of a beef with calling things organic. I think that should just be called real food.
Yes.
We really need to be nudging ourselves towards organic and valuing that. It's good for us, better for us, it's better for the environment. We have tinkered around with our food for too long, and we're paying the consequences with our health. So where we can, organic. So when I finished last time, that meant I had to hop around a number of different supermarkets, and I thought, this is too hard. But what Katrina had done is you kindly sent over the Soil Association gives some tips about what's the right stuff to, or which fruits and vegetables are, what did you call it, the Dirty Dozen? There's a Dirty Dozen, which is just a quick Google away, or the Clean 15. So the Dirty Dozen are the things like apples, grapes, that means wine as well, spinach. These things are really, there's a heavy pesticide use, so you really want to try and get them organic, or stay away. Versus the Clean 15, things like avocado, pineapple, which are naturally low pesticide use. So that's a handy list to have on your fridge or when you're shopping, because it is tricky, but the more that we create demand for it, then there's going to be more availability and the price is going to come down. And the prices come down even in the sort of 7 years that I've been looking for organic, the price is almost halved.
Cool. So there's some simple tweaks that you can make, and it doesn't have to be that expensive. I dare say, if you want to get in touch with Katrina, she is at thebodytoolkit.com.
Yes,
and she also, when she's not running these wonderful retreats, she is out and about, speaking to groups of people and learning as much as you can, really, about your given subject.
Absolutely. I'll talk to anybody about juicing if you'll listen to me, if you'll stand still long enough.
So if anyone wants to contact you at the Body Toolkit, and you've got a blog and Facebook page as well?
Yes, it's the Body Toolkit, and you're very welcome to email me, which is sort of info@thebodytoolkit.com. But yes, run the retreats sort of once monthly, and I'm going to try and do a bit more on the Facebook page, sharing stuff, but basically promoting getting back to basics. And the body responds beautifully when you do that.
With lots of little tweaks.
Yeah.
Excellent. Right, we're kind of running on. I'm looking. It's 20 minutes. I said 10 minutes. I said 10 minutes. But we could probably carry on blathering for another couple of hours. But in the meantime, thank you very much, Katrina. And thanks as ever for listening to me and my wonderful guest.